This is a dangerous groups that we're dealing with now. It was a nightmare.
Flight 807, you're clear for landing. Runway 7, Bravo. All personnel report to the nearest tornado shelter. This is not a drill.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.
Good morning and welcome to this week's edition of The Mediator with me, your host, Brian West. Here to give you the top 8 headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Now, as usual, I give you the top 8 local headlines and developing news stories that made it first, followed by a movie clip, a skit, a trailer, or something that's going on in the community, or maybe some pictures. And then I'll give you the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it, folks. So let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Story number 1. Locals still see a need to answer the call of veterans in need. Veterans organizations have been in the headlines, and a group made front page news calling for building a new nursing home for Ohio vets. Out of Warren, a story by Guy Vogren, published Sunday, July 24th, goes on to explain how a group of advocates is trying to push the state government to open at least 2 new state-run nursing homes for veterans. The article goes on to explain how veterans are underserved with only 2 veterans homes in the state, some of them outdated. Now, the director of Ohio Department of Veterans Service, Deborah Ashenhurst, testified she testified before the Ohio House Armed Services and Veterans Affairs Committee, citing the need for additional veterans homes. Now, last week, an article channeling money to veterans from sports betting kept the story in circulation, and now more veteran stories are making the news in these unusual and desperate times. It means more people are in need. Now, the story is still developing. That's why I made it this week. Big headline. Story number 2. Let the election spending begin. At the moment, Tim Ryan has the upper hand on J.D. Vance when it comes to contributions. Tim Ryan seems to be taking a very strategic approach to sway Trump voters his way. But if it will work, it still remains unknown. Now, in the race to keep the seat by Robert Portman, former Senator Rob Portman, red, that means Republican, J.D. Vance has now gone against his own statements and accepted $40,000 from the Corporate Political Action Committee. Now, so what we could be seeing now is a contender realizing what it takes to win, and with Tim Ryan holding a slight edge when it comes to spending, the gloves could be coming off, and J.D. Vance could finally be comprehending what it will take to win a very important Ohio Senate election, Senate seat, get that seat. Now, Ohio campaign spending stories are also in circulation. The November election will be here in no time. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Big headline. Story number 3. Should Warren grant Burke Enterprise a tax break? According to an article published July 22nd, Burke Enterprise Incorporated in Warren is planning for a $9.7 million warehouse project. Now, what got this article in is the fact that it goes on to talk about how the company is seeking a 15-year, 70% tax abatement for the project. The company is a Warren-based company that distributes products to the food service and amusement park industries. Now, if approved, it will be the first tax abatement the township has had since 2008. Youngstown has also made a lot of headlines last year and this year, with some backlash from tax abatement. So we'll see how the story develops. But Burke Enterprise has been around for a while, so we'll see how story number 3 develops. That's why I made it this week. Story number 4. Liberty police levy on the November ballot. There is a $1.5 million 5-year levy on the ballot in Liberty to generate $322,870 per year. Now, the current levy expires this year. Liberty Police need this levy renewed to maintain sufficient funding for emergency services. Funding will also go towards maintaining motor vehicles, communications, and other equipment needed by the department, according to a local Vindicator article. One key reason why this story made it in is because the levy will also cover the cost of paying salaries of police personnel. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Story number 5, COVID-19 just won't go away. The case count is what got the story in. Case rates jumped 54.6%. This is the 4th straight week in a row that the case count is up. According to one article, cases haven't been this high since February. The total number of people hospitalized with COVID-19 in Ohio is also on the upswing. Now, 1,000 was the daily rate last checks. That's 1,000 per certain amount of people in the area. Now, among the 88 counties, Mahoning sits at 68th with 315.3 COVID cases per 100,000 residents. Now, overall, it looks like COVID-19 is here to stay, and that's what's been in circulation. That's why story number 5 made it this week. Story number 6, Ohio workers and businesses are in top headlines. Better negotiations seem to be what each party wants in the news stories making headlines about the local street department and city council. One local article published July 26th highlights retroactive pay for union members rather than a lump sum, overtime and vacation issues being the top concern. They're being a top concern. Now, another headline shining the spotlight on Ultium sale plan has made headlines, showing Ultium sales gaining traction with a $2.5 billion loan. Now, altogether, the 3 plants in Lawrencetown, Michigan, and Tennessee look to create 6,000 construction jobs and 5,100 operation jobs, including 1,100 operations jobs at the factory in Lawrencetown. Production in Lawrencetown is set to start in less than 3 weeks. These stories are keeping labor stories in the headline. That's why story number 6 almost made it to the top 2 this week. Big headline. Story number 7 in the top 2 local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, I'm in here every week. It ain't easy, but I gotta be easy. In my search for 200 or more stories, stifling through all these stories to keep you informed. I'm doing it for you, to keep you informed. That's always the goal. So if I say anything wrong or do any mistakes, it's just like being easy. Be easy on me, baby. Be easy. Ooh, yeah. Show me some love. Ooh, wee. Be easy. You don't got no problem with me. Be easy. Mediation ain't nothing to me. Be easy. Every story is for you. So if I slip up, show me some love. Pick me up and put me back into the game. Let's get to the top 2 stories. Local story that made this week. Story number 7. Limited terms and a local director resigns. A former candidate for mayor, John White, is gathering signatures to limit council term limits. White feels that the decision in 2012 that allowed them no term limits gives them more re-election strength because of their ability to grow a voter base over the years while in office. He feels this is unfair. He also feels that this gives incumbents an unfair advantage. So he feels this is all unfair. Now, another headline reads that Don Turnage will be headed back to Columbus after resigning as the city's park and recreations director as of August 26. Dawn will become assistant director of recreations and parks in Columbus. Now, Turnage she used to be a housing advisor in Columbus Metropolitan Housing Authority. She will now be leaving her post in Youngstown. She will also be leaving her post on the board in Youngstown as well, Board of Education, as of September 12th. Now, this article was published July 27th. In the article, Turnage stated that it was not an easy decision. That's why story number 7 made it to the top 2 this week. Big headline. Story number 8 at the top. Local headline and developing news stories that made it this week. Woo-wee. It's for you, baby. Now, it may not be a lot, and it may not be expensive, but it's a story from the heart. And sometimes that's all that matters. Sometimes when you give from the heart, it's the most special thing that a mediator could give. I may not be swimming in dough, swimming on a mountaintop with a mansion, but I'm giving you something to last. A story to keep you informed. Story number 8. Local nonprofits have been busy, folks. Second Harvest Food Bank, their bank, Michael Eberus, has made headlines as he has some concerns about the donations. He said they're lagging. People need donations. These nonprofits need donations to carry out their mission statement. With inflation at a 40-year high and gas prices over the $3 mark, food donations are down and families are in need. The pandemic has made it no better, and as nonprofits try to keep up with demand, it could get worse before it gets better. The truth is that people are getting desperate, folks. This desperation is causing more financial hunger problems for families, thus revving up the need for nonprofit services. This story is still developing. That's why story number 8 is the top local story this week. Well, folks, those are our top local headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator to be Brother West. I'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Check out Lady Perez this week on our internet show. She will be talking about her newest film, Penny and the Willow Tree, where I also play in that film. Check her out this week on our Listen and Learn segment. I'm going to schedule you back in about a week, all right? Put you on 10 milligrams. If you need any refills, you got to let me know, all right?
I didn't become a doctor to drug people.
Give up on your dream, John. You cannot cure crazy.
He's one of my patients.
No, patience! Well, tell him to stop coming here and robbing me!
Are you married? I see your ring. Yeah.
But all I know is I need you and you will need me.
Why don't you have your wedding photos up?
Well, I have my reasons for that.
No! You don't know anything about my patients, Kathy! You don't know anything about what these kids, these parents are going through out here. There's a jungle out here, Kathy! So stay your lane!
I don't have a chemical imbalance. I just want to go home.
Together, we can make magic.
Please don't leave me this way!
I'm gonna eat therapy after this! Who gonna check and see if I'm okay?
Hey, Doc. Don't let me down. Because those meds, they're working.
Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 8 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week. Folks, I'm here to tell you that the American dream is still alive. I had a friend, and for years he had talked about being on stage and taking his shirt off and have women screaming all around him. This was his dream. He wanted to be an R&B singer. And the good thing about America is that this is probably one of the only places in the world where an old person can get out of a nursery home and get up and be dancing and have old women all around him. This man did not give up on his dream to do this. So I went to visit nursery home. I seen him performing in front of all the nursery home with all these old ladies around. And he was singing his R&B favorite jam. There's my money and all of my time. You tonight with you, you can have it all. Hey, make sweet love. I mean, the brother was on stage, women all around him, singing freaking it by the old group back in the day. I couldn't believe it. I seen him up there dancing and juking the women, old ladies. Oh Lord, big time bond. They couldn't believe it. When I seen this, something clicked in my mind. And I said, you know what? I can do that. I can achieve my American dream. I can be that one day. And that's how I became the Mediator, because I know that even when I'm down and out, as long as I've got a dream in my mind, everything will be all right. And that's why this story made it this week. The American dream is still alive, folks. Woo! Woo-wee! Let's get to it. Story number 1. Who is the party for the working man? Speaking of the American dream. According to Fox News, Biden's approval rating has hit a new low, and many are predicting a red wave due to labor issues. A new poll shows that Democrats are becoming the party of the elite and working class, and minorities, and minorities. So far, that's what the new show is showing. So now they're saying that not just minorities, but elites, work in all types of elites and minority groups. They're saying that this is all becoming a part of the Democratic Party. That means they got all ethnic groups becoming elites, but they're saying that the working class and the minority groups, not outside of the elites, are shifting towards the Republicans. That's what is in this poll. Now, this story shows that working class Americans are not pleased with outdated Democrat solutions and could be turning to the GOP for better working policies. Now, this is just what the poll shows. This is what's happening, and that's why story number 1 made it this week. Story number 2, measuring consumer confidence. CNN reports that consumer confidence has slipped for a third straight month. Most of the article focuses on an assessment of current business and labor conditions. The details are in what has been taking place. The country is recovering from a complete shutdown due to COVID-19. That's a fact. This is what has this story trending. Now, the ripple effect of shutdowns is being felt, and the country just has to recover. So it could be that it might not actually be that bad. Now, there are so many economic assessments coming out each week that were overlooked before COVID-19 hit, but are now showing key data talking points. Now, the proof that COVID-19 shutdowns caused this mass recovery it also states that this is the evidence. This is what's evident, is that COVID-19 shutdowns cause all of these recovery efforts, thus proving that consumer confidence will improve once the COVID-19 wave is over, if it ever is. Signs of recovery are already in certain headlines. That's why story number 2 made it this week. Big headline. Story number 3, the abortion pit is getting even dirtier, more dirtier, if that's a word. Contraceptives, sterilizations, guilt, celibacy, and abortions. These are all the labels being dished out in the abortion pit. Nothing wrong with being celibate. Nothing wrong with a little guilt. Nothing wrong with being sterilized. Nothing wrong with contraceptives. But what happens when the baby is already in the womb? That's an abortion. And recent Supreme Court news on Roe versus Wade has made the pit even dirtier, folks. This is a serious story because of one key word, and that is innocence. Everyone fighting the sexual beast is guilty, folks. That's a fact. But the baby yet to be born is innocent. That is a fact. So our choices lead up to so many things. Now, this is a complicated story that is still in top headlines, and what has it still trending is the fact that not too many people have the strong willpower to admit it when they've done something terribly wrong. And as states crack down, this story continues to make waves. Guilt is a key word in this developing story. That's why story number 3 made it this week. Story number 4, how Russia became the country on everyone's radar is in a matter of months. So how Russia became the country on everyone's radar in a matter of months. That's what story number 4. Here are some key Russia headlines. For various reasons, Russia says it will quit the International Space Station after 2024. Russia denies causing a global food crisis. Reports about Russia taking hundreds of casualties daily in the Ukraine war has made headlines. Russia moves to shut Jewish agency in Ukraine. Another headline. Russia about to run out of steam in Ukraine. Another headline. U.S. to send fighter jets to Ukraine, all because of Russia. This is all money talk, folks. When you're talking this stuff, this is all spending. These are all headlines showing how Russia is staying in top headlines and on everyone's radar in a matter of months. Every report is being fact-checked daily, because if it was Putin's goal to attract global attention by attacking Ukraine, he has succeeded at that and has also succeeded at sending the markets into a frenzy because of it. Now, what got this story in is the fact that people will be looking for accurate reporting and they will be fact checking in all 6 of these major headlines. So there will be some fact checking and there will be some accuracy in these reports. Now, each story also could reveal key aspects of Putin's strategy once analyzed. That's why story number 4 made it this week. Well, folks, those are our top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I'll be right back with the top 4. So don't you go anywhere. You're the Mediator. Me, Brian West. I'll be right back. If you want to check out the stories that almost made it in or did make it in, go to our Twitter feed on our website. Check out everything. All of the sources are there. And go to the website. It's method8inc.com. Method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or just sponsor programs. Welcome back. Now it's time to get to the top 4 international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. Folks, kids and people will mimic what they see, especially on TV. They did this car wash for a fundraiser at my business, and I had the whole Little League football team in the store. And I knew these kids had been watching wrestling or something. These kids were wild, boy. I mean, they ransacked the whole store, tore up everything, slamming each other. I mean, DDTing each other. I knew they'd been watching wrestling. One had put on a superhero outfit, thought he could fly, and I mean, the story was crazy. One of them got up, oh, hell yeah, oh, you didn't know, and I knew they had been watching wrestling. I knew it. Do you smell what I'm cooking? I mean, all this stuff. So I thought about it when I was sitting there watching my store being ransacked, clothes everywhere. I mean, shooting little pellet guns at each other. And I knew, I said, this is what we need to be thinking. If we see progress, if we see motivation, creativity, innovation, and greatness, we as a nation will rise up to greatness. But if we see killing, depression, sadness, we will fail. But like the little children, we have to see greatness. Oh yeah. Don't you feel it? The atmosphere. Yeah, greatness. Let's get to it. Story number 5. America is seeing crimes in mental examination fashion. Long time ago, folks, going back to the old mob and G-Men days, when the FBI was at its peak and the American forces were against violence. The forces against violence were on the move. This could shine a little light on today's current crime state and mental evaluation. This is everything in this story. Mental evaluation, crime. This was happening years ago when the government sent out the G-Men, the FBI, and the mob, and the violence was increasing. So this is all could examined in today's environment and can be looked at in this mental evaluation assessment. But those days, folks, are over. They're over. And the world is much more advanced now. But more brutal crime stories are in the news. But the question is why? Many experts are flying the mental health flag, and brain and psych specialists are working overtime in what appears every day to be a world of mental madness. As harsher crimes remain in circulation, the more mental health will be talked about as a key issue. This story is still developing. That's what story number 5 made it this week. Big hit. Story number 6. Given the death penalty for minor violations. After the death of Jalen Walker, a staggering number stands out in a Huffington Post story, folks. The fact that almost 600 people have been killed since 2017 after being stopped by police for only minor violations. Now, this is an alarming number and has people waking up to what is taking place when police are in pursuit of a suspect. Now, these are real deal stories, folks, because what the media ties to race could actually be internal problems involving what is taking place at the scene of a crime and how that is handled. Now, at the moment, there seems to be no way around this story because all eyes are now on how pursuits are handled and the fact that almost 600 people have been killed after being stopped by police for minor violations. This story is still developing. That's why story number 6 almost made it to the top 2 this week. Big headline. Story number 7 of the top 2 international headlines and developing news stories that made it this week for you, keep you informed. It's all I'm doing. can look to the left, I can look to the right, or I can look at you with a story. That's all it's for, folks. Let's get to these top 2 international headlines and developing news stories. I packaged them up just for you. Story number 7. The border is now termed barbaric. The southern border at the United States. Ted Cruz released some detailed and graphic video detailing, footage detailing what is quoted as the narco slave trade at the southern border, also termed as barbaric. These were all statements by Cruz describing the border. More articles revealing what is taking place at the border are popping up in major headlines because we're talking smuggling and trafficking in very large numbers, folks. Such stories are keeping all eyes on what solutions will come from the top down. This story is still developing. The border is in the headlines. Big headline. Story number 8. The top international headline and developing news story that made this week. Folks, through college, I did not get to walk across the stage. In high school, I did not get to mingle with some of the women that I so much desired. But at this moment in time of mediation, I am satisfied with delivering and serving you to give you some stories. Whew. Sentimental. Story number 8. Countries are spending themselves broke, folks. If COVID-19 did anything, it broke the bank. The Czech finance minister has proposed raising the country's 2022 budget deficit to $13.6 billion, according to a Reuters report. Now, the world is in a spending frenzy, folks, due to recovery plans put in place to fight COVID. So everybody is trying to spend their way out of COVID, and they're spending themselves to death. Now, some countries have already gone under. This is real, folks. Now, the United States is also in the spending bubble as all pressure falls on Biden's economic recovery plan, what he calls the Build Back Better plan. And they're saying that this recovery plan will dig more into the country's spending issues. Now, as the world braces for more spending woes, banking stories will also remain in major headlines. These stories are still developing because if people keep spending to get past COVID, pretty soon we will spend ourselves and there will be nothing left, and COVID will still be around. So we've exhausted ourselves fighting a beast, an invisible beast. That's why story number 8 made to the top this week, because all this spending, no accountability is big. Well, folks, those are our top 8 local and international headlines and developing news stories that made this week. I hope you got something out of today's program. I always get something out of the research. As usual, I'd like to thank all the news outlets, the journalists, the people on the front lines, the media. You deserve all the credit. I'm just a mediator, the man in the middle, searching through your stories for the greater good of the public. If you want to show some support here at Methane, it does not take much. All you have to do is visit the website on the screen, buy something, click on something, watch something, read something, or to sponsor a program, or you can stop at the store at 5648 Morgan Street, show us some love, and maybe buy something. Well, folks, I'm out of here. Have a good week, everybody. Thank you for tuning to the Mediator with me, Brian West. Peace.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.